And welcome back to the Avalanche presentation of Off the Hour here on CKUT 90.3 FM. It is 5:06. We had a chance to speak with Amy Lowe earlier today. Amy is an activist with the group Accessibilize Montreal, who led an action last week at the STM board meeting to demand more accessibility for people with disabilities. We go now to that interview.
Explain about what happened last, like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Sure, you mean on the bus?
Yes.
Yeah, well, essentially, I was heading downtown, and so I was waiting for the 24 bus east, on Bay Carey, just north of Sherbrooke Street. And, I was using my walker, and a walker, for those people who don't know, it's just like a four-wheel, device that I push to help me keep me stabilized and that sort of thing while I'm out and about. And so the bus driver pulled up and then opened the doors, and I asked if I could use the ramp, and then she responded by saying she didn't know if it worked. And then she wouldn't try to lower it, so essentially I struggled along with the help of a stranger to get on the bus because I was in a hurry. I had to get to work. And then when it came time to get off the bus, the driver wouldn't try to lower the ramp again. Not really explaining any reasoning, but just saying, no, I'm not gonna lower the ramp, and then not offering to help me in any way, and just being persistent. So for me personally, it's harder to get off the bus without the ramp than to get on. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm actually even getting off the bus, so how do you want to swing the thing? So we had an altercation, and I started to get frustrated, and she actually just stopped talking to me altogether, got off bus, and I had this point, like, this is stalled, everybody's off the bus, except one person, myself. The bus driver got off and went into a cafe, called her superior, and somebody called the police. I assume it's STM who called the police, I'm not sure. Pardon me, and then somebody got an STM supervisor, and the police officer came to essentially tell me that I need to get off the bus, treating me like I was doing some sort of political protest or like breaking a law in some way, when I was just like sitting there waiting for the ramp to be lowered. So again, there was a lot of communication between myself, the police officers, and the STM supervisor. Not one of them apologized for that I'm not giving her up and lowering the ramp. What I did do was they took a very condescending with me and were like, "Madame, you have to get off the bus. Madame, you have to get off the bus." And I was like, "This is what I'm going to do. Can somebody lower the ramp?" It's like one of the basic kind of tenants equals that, like, if somebody requests the ramp, the person with the ramp controlling but really lower the ramp. It's not that complex. So they literally tried the ramp, and it was in fact broken. And then when that happened, I was thinking, okay, now maybe they have a portable ramp that they can bring, or other simple solutions such as, finding a portable ramp to lower down manually. But instead they said, now you see, you're wasting everybody's time kind of thing. Now, how are you going to get off the bus? And the police officers tried to assist me without my consent to get off the bus, and at that point I was getting pretty angry, and I articulated that, nobody's touching me without me asking for help. And so eventually, one of the police officers took my walker, in my direction and then struggled off the bus alone. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long story. All of that to say that basically I was refused access to a bus ramp and then treated like I was breaking law for requesting equal access. So that's what happened on the 25th of February. Yeah.
Another question too is like when I seen the STM, sometimes they lower a ramp or they do the hydraulics, lower the bus a bit. I just want to know, did they try to just like you really need the ramp or just the lower of the bus?
You mean, do they do it often, or?
I'm talking about like they lower the bus when they release the hydraulics and they don't open the ramp.
Sometimes that they do that as well. This time though, I needed the ramp because I was pushing my walker and I can't lift it up, you know. So sometimes the hydraulic bus drivers are more willing to do the lowering rather than deploying the actual ramp. But in this case, like, I just expressed it really clearly in French, English, you know, both languages, saying, like, can I have the ramp, please? And the driver refused to do that, so, yeah.
Had you received any information, like, from the STM, like a formal apology or anything?
No, quite opposite. I've spoken with a number of STM leads since then, all the way from receptionist to the office of the Vice President, Martin. I've spoken with Mathilde Labuadec, who is an employee of the actual accessibility department of the STM, as well as some other folks. And I actually last week, myself and some of my colleagues from Accessible Eyes Montreal and other supporters went to the STM monthly board meeting to ask some questions during their open question period. My question was really simple. It was just, what is the policy of the STM in terms of usage? In other words, am I, as a walker user, essentially eligible to use the ramp according to their policy? And nobody at the board meeting could answer that question, nor could they actually look up the response, look up that policy on, you know, the many iPads, iPhones, computers that they have in front of them. It was pretty surprising that, you know, room of STM employees, nobody knew that policy. However, I said, okay, fine. So I've been following up with them this past week since meeting, and so the only response I've gotten is that wheelchair users and scooter users are allowed to use the ramp on buses. And so by omission, I'm assuming that their policy is then that anybody who's on 2 feet but still requires a ramp is not, according to their policy, eligible to use bus ramp, which of course is completely discriminatory, goes against the Quebec Charter, goes against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that's enshrined in the Constitution. I mean, it's pretty serious. So what I'm trying to do at this point is to get that answer really nailed down. So I'm waiting on a few emails so that I can get that in writing from the STM as to whether or not they have a policy on ramp usage, whether or not people, as I mentioned, who walk but who still require the ramp are actually allowed to use the ramp or not. So that's where I'm at right now. It's so basic that it's almost absurd that I have to spend time asking these questions over and over to all levels of the STM institution. However, that's where we're at. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Patrick, Amy. I've personally seen on adapted transportation, them taking the lift out and for people who use walkers, have you used adapted transportation?
Sure. So your question was about whether or not I use paratransit, right?
Because I know when you use adapted transportation for people with walkers, they will take the lift out for you with no problem.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So with paratransit, with the transport adapté system here in Montreal, drivers will lower the ramp for you no matter what. Yeah, that's true, and that's good. It makes sense. But I find that creates a segregated system of transit where anyone who needs a ramp, who needs a guaranteed accessible ride, is generally pushed to the periphery and forced to take transport adapté. I'm going to talk from my personal experience. I don't like the experience of being in paratransit because I find it really alienating. Often I'm in the back of adapted taxis or minibuses, often with tinted windows, like nobody else is in the car except for myself and the driver, and I feel really alienated from my city when I'm forced to take paratransit. I like the social aspects of being on the bus. I mean, I would love to take the metro as well because it's so efficient, but it's just too inaccessible right now, so I can't take the metro. But I like being on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like interacting with people. I meet strangers. Also, it's completely different. Like, you can just go to a bus stop, take the next bus in 5-10 minutes, whereas with paratransit, as you guys probably know, you have to book before 9:30 the night before. And there's all sorts of restrictions whenever there's a snowstorm. Rides are canceled or restrictions on booking. Like, I just find it way too complicated and alienating. And also, like, as a woman, I feel unsafe when I'm just in a vehicle with one driver. I've had some negative experiences in paratransit as well, where male drivers have made inappropriate comments. Some drivers have taken, one driver in particular took my photo unconsensually and was like, "You're a pretty little girl," kind of thing. I feel really uncomfortable in transport adapté, and so I definitely opt for taking public buses,
And I know from personal experience myself, I did adapted transportation, but it's my only form of transportation because it's very hard for me to take a city bus. So my only mode of transportation is adapted transportation, private taxis, which costs a fortune. More often than not, I rely on friends. Well, as you know, it's very hard for me to take a regular bus because my chair's so big.
Okay, you share some of, yeah.
So I often have to rely on friends that drive me places, or private taxis that can cost a fortune.
But so,
I didn't know that you were harassed on adapted transportation. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Thanks.
Another thing too is like me, a person, an able person could get on the bus and get on the metro. If I want to go see a movie, like in town, I live in Cotonage, I don't have to plan ahead to go see it. I could go like if it's blasting raining like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, like, I'm not good at planning ahead. Maybe I should be better at it, but I don't foresee my schedule a week in advance. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to plan things at the last minute. I like to just decide. Oh, like you said, I'm gonna go to a movie, or I'm gonna go to whatever, buy groceries, or go meet a friend. I want to decide that day. I don't want to have to decide early. But you know, it's a toss-up though, right? Because I do sometimes take confidence because I'm too tired, and the thought of going to a bus and having to fight to get on, you know, fight to have an accessible spot on the bus, fight to get off, it's too exhausting. So I do offer that sometimes, and I do understand, of course, you know, but it's kind of like a choice between two frustrating experiences.
Okay. My next thing I wanted to ask you, going back to the STM's board of directors,
Yeah.
is there any people or disabilities sits on the board?
There are. There's one woman whose name is Marie Turcotte, and she is the representative for passengers of Transport FT, of Transit. And she didn't respond to my question about ramp access on buses until I posed it directly to her. And I found her answer pretty unclear and unsatisfactory. She basically just shared a personal story about how when she started taking the bus 20 or 30 years ago, it was a lot worse than it is now. So that's the representative of disabled passengers in the STM who didn't talk about policy and who instead shared a personal anecdote about, well, you know, things are getting better. You just have to wait, basically. It's not an answer to the question that I asked, which was a policy question, and I also find it pretty demeaning that someone would just say, you know, oh, you just have to chill, wait for things to change, it'll happen, you know, just take your time. In the meantime, you're stuck, but that's okay, you know?
Okay, my next question is about the media. I saw beside us, there's a lot of media going on. You want to comment about that?
Can you repeat the question?
Like the question is about the media response you had. Like I heard CBC did something. I heard there was other stations, French stations, and like I want to see what's your response about what they brought out.
Well, I mean, after that experience on the bus, like on the 25th of February, I didn't actually do a press release or anything. I just posted about it on Facebook just to vent. And journalists started contacting me being like, so this is, I guess it made for a good story, you know what I mean? So I was really impressed with the coverage. I was really happy because so often, thousands of Montrealers just deal with this quietly and don't get any sort of recognition, even by the people around them. So I thought that was really good. I think that it's helpful, and it'll probably add pressure to the STM to rethink their policies or lack thereof around accessibility, and hopefully that'll help build momentum. I had one strange experience, which was that one journalist was really insistent on asking me my personal disability, and it had nothing to do with the story. So I thought that was interesting, that the angles that different journalists choose to take. But in general, I'm happy with the coverage. It's like I said, I think it'll help build momentum for the accessibility movement here in Montreal. I hope that it's not just a one-off thing, though, because this is a daily experience for so many people in the city, right? So I hope that people keep sharing their stories and taking to the media and saying, look, this isn't stopping, let's change this. Also, hope people can can hinder conversation on social media as well. So, tweeting the president of the vice president, tweeting TM, which is one of the Twitter names, and just referring and saying, look, people are upset. Like, we need to improve accessibility on transit.
Do you have anything else to add, Amy?
What is that? I feel a little bit strange that my personal experience is getting a lot of attention. Like, I'm glad that it's a way that the media can kind of discuss accessibility in transit, but I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's struggling to get around the city and to say, look, you're not the only one. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep discussing. Let's keep pushing for the STM to change their policies because it's enough, you know. And so I just want to say that for everyone who's listening, who's having a hard time getting around, we're in it together. We're going to get this thing going on.
Where can people go to get more information?
Well, a few places. I mean, Accessibilize Montreal has a Facebook page where we communicate with folks. That Facebook name is Access for MTL, which is Access the number 4 MTL. People can join and share their stories. And also, I really highly recommend the online forum Transport Mais Adapté. Maybe you guys can put a link on the CKUT page or Facebook or something. That's Transport Mais Adapté, so MES Adapté. And this is a really cool group because essentially people just go on, share their daily experiences with the STM, either Transport Adapté or the bus and metro system. And it's getting a lot of attention. It's really building momentum. And it's a really exciting way that people can just say, look, this happened to me today, and share that, and so that it can be used to then put more pressure on the STM. So that's what I suggest. But also people can reach out by email too, which is access4mtl@gmail.com. And everybody and anybody is welcome to get in touch with the group for sure.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for covering this, and look forward to collaborating soon.
Cinema Politica Concordia and the Concordia.
And welcome back to Off the Hour with the Avalanche here on CKUT 90.3 FM. And what time is it, Steph?
What time is it? Oh, is it winter time? Actually, my mic is not on, Kev.
Now it is.
Yeah, no. Hey, it's time for the weather?
I guess it is. And here's your weather from CKUT and the Weather Network. Overnight, a few flurries with a low of -4. Tomorrow, Thursday, mainly sunny skies with a high of -3. Friday, scattered flurries with a high of -2. Saturday, mixed precipitation with a high of +2. Flurry Sunday with a high of +1. Monday, mainly sunny skies with a high of +3. Yes, I said +3. Tuesday, scattered flurries with a high of -1. And mainly sunny for a week today with a high of -3. And that is your weather from CKUT and the Weather Network. And, okay. Now we're going to be discussing, the issues of barriers and challenges in access to employment for people with disabilities.
I think that's Patrick.
Yeah, thank you guys. I don't know how many of you have been. Thanks, Noah. I don't know how many of you have been trying to get a big job, but I've been struggling for the last year and a half to try and find something. And just recently, my job advisor closed my file because she said that no company would hire me because most companies will not pay for attendant care. For those of you who may not know me, I'm in a wheelchair and I do require help with the bathroom and some feeding from time to time. And most small companies may not pay for an attendant. And that is very unfortunate because I know in several other provinces they do pay for this service.
Yeah, that was my question I was gonna ask you, Patrick, is there's any grants out there in Quebec to support people with disabilities?
Not on the job market, but if you do go to university and high school, they will pay for somebody, but not if you're looking for a job. But if you go to Ontario, they will pay for an attendant at work.
Yeah, so they like the rest of the province, like Ontario and all that, there is subsidized to help out people, to help you out.
Yes, and I was doing some research a couple of weeks ago, and Quebec used to have funding for that, but they're cutting that out.
Yeah, okay, and it's like happens a lot of funding gets cut.
Yes, and that, and, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, we're all human, right? We all have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and, you know, I can't.
Get your aid.
I don't know anybody who can hold peeing for 8-9 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Kevin, you got anything you want to say? No? Okay, yeah. It's like things like that. It's just, it's a shame of Quebec to do cutbacks like this and things like that. Like, there's a lot of money got cut back. There's a lot of things like that in support. Hey, what the government thinks, you should stay home and rot?
Well, that's basically what I was told. I, doing research, I know of only 2 companies, and they're pretty big ones.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can name them on air, but I'm gonna try anyway. They're Quebecers
Yeah.
and Bell Media. I know for a fact that those companies pay, but they're multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
Most companies will not pay for that service.
Yeah, they want the money from like every else. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I encourage, you know,
yeah.
other people who might be in a similar situation to ask questions to future employers
Yeah.
if they offer
Yeah.
aid service.
Hey, Patrick, I was thinking since you're a new member of the Avalanche, maybe this is something you could research and find interviews like activist groups fight for this and things like that, and it'll be like a great thing to have on the show. and like get more stuff about it, because I think people like to hear that. I'm just wondering, what you thought about the thing with Amy?
No, I think it's very unfortunate that she got denied access, and
Yeah.
I
And I
really-
think we have a little piece we'll play a bit for a few minutes, maybe? So like that, so we're gonna listen to this, because was something we'll put on earlier, so we're gonna put on the board meeting, what happened at the board at the STM, it was last Wednesday? Yeah, it was last Wednesday, so we're gonna listen to that now.
Le micro. Oui, c'est bon, merci. J'espère que vous allez bien. There. Just give me a second here. J'ai deux questions. Ma première question, c'est pour Martin Rotrand. C'est en fait, je veux savoir si les passagers à mobilité réduite, mais pas avec les chaises roulantes, sont permis de A, demander pour une rampe d'autobus et B, d'avoir accès par une rampe d'autobus. Et je veux juste clarifier. C'est ma question parce que j'ai entendu que la politique de la SDM, c'est que les rampes sont juste pour les gens avec les chaises roulantes. Et je ne sais pas si vous savez, mais des fois, moi personnellement, j'utilise une chaise roulante, des fois j'utilise un scooter, un quadriporteur, et des fois j'utilise une marchette, des fois j'utilise une canne, des fois je marche toute seule. Right? So, j'aimerais savoir si ça change quelque chose par rapport à l'accès d'autobus avec les rampes. Ça, c'est ma première question.
Merci. Je vais demander à Mme Hamilcar, qui est la personne responsable pour l'ensemble des divisions d'autobus, d'expliquer clairement la politique de déploiement des rampes, qui est éligible dans quelles circonstances.
Merci. Est-ce que, je ne sais pas si le micro, c'est
Est-ce que vous m'entendez mieux?
Oui, merci.
D'accord. Donc, bonsoir. Au fait, je vais devoir vous revenir parce que je vais vouloir valider des choses. Une chose qui est certaine, c'est clair que la rampe devra être déployée pour les chaises roulantes. Et de façon circonstancielle, il peut arriver que quelqu'un à mobilité réduite ou tout simplement quelqu'un qui a un petit peu plus de difficultés va demander qu'on abaisse l'autobus sans nécessairement sortir la rampe.
Ouais.
Alors, je vais devoir vérifier pour vous revenir pour savoir si exactement est-ce qu'on doit obligatoirement sortir la rampe. Mais une chose est certaine, pour les personnes à la mobilité réduite, on va faire un abaissement de
Non,
l'autobus.
mais c'est pas une réponse de ma question.
Et
Et la raison que je le demande, c'est parce que sur CTV, la semaine passée, je ne sais pas si vous avez écouté, mais Monsieur Rotrand, vous avez dit que pour tous les gens qui ont besoin de la rampe, c'est déployé. So I need clarification on that policy, and I need it tonight actually because I take the bus every day. So I need somebody to open my book and find that out.
In my opinion, the ramps.
No, I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm asking for the policy,
Ouais, ben, Madame
and
Hamilcar,
I need someone to cite it for me.
Madame Hamilcar vous a dit qu'elle devait faire des vérifications avant de pouvoir vous répondre.
So nobody in this room knows whether or not, say, I am allowed to use a bus ramp. Do you guys know? Do you ever have this experience?
On ne commencera pas un débat dans la
C'est
salle.
pas une discussion, mais c'est juste la question.
C'est ça. Alors, Madame
so-
Hamilcar, on a vos coordonnées. Madame Hamilcar va prendre des informations, pourra vous répondre avec l'ensemble des détails.
So no one is able to answer whether or not I'm legally accepted to use a ramp on the bus on the STM. Nobody knows
I want to
this.
say what I said on the media. I don't think it's a legal question. I think it's a question of
No, it's a
consent.
question of legality for me.
Madame, they want to allow somebody to answer. You might not like the answer, but at least let them answer.
I would
okay?
love to
Can
hear
I have
a
1 minute of
legitimate
absolute
answer.
silence so I can actually say something? Thank you, Ms. Lowe. In my opinion,
I'm timing you.
in my opinion, the ramps are there to facilitate any client who finds it difficult to get on a bus. In my opinion, a ramp is not only for somebody in a wheelchair, it's someone who's in obvious distress or walking with, some form of mobility aid, and it's just a question of common sense regardless of what the policy is. Now,
Okay, so what does
that's what
SDM
I've said,
do?
that is what I said on the media. I also want to alert the board that I've done some research this week to make sure that some of the things I've heard on the media are either true or not true. And I can confirm that 209 of our bus lines are accessible out of 220. The only ones that aren't are the Navette Door and the minibus in St. Anne de Bellevue. I checked on our bus stops. We have 8,942. 7,985 of them are already accessible. That's 89.3%. Now, in terms of the ramps, 55% of our buses have the ramps in front, 45% in the rear. The ones in the rear don't have as good performance as the ones in the front, but the
They
figures for
function at approximately 50% of the time, according to research done in 2011 by AVALANCHE.
good. And the performance is actually fairly good for every million kilometers driven. We can certainly improve. The idea is to make sure that when we tell somebody there's a ramp and they have to use it, that it's going to work. I'm not sure the number of trips we can generate through the system this way, but we are committed to universal access.
Great,
Merci,
okay,
Monsieur
and so my follow-up for that question is, because your opinion is really fantastic and it's like really in line with accessibility, I really appreciate that. And I'm wondering what you can do as the Vice President of the SDM to ensure that your opinion is then translated into practice for bus drivers not to discriminate against passengers with disabilities.
I'm glad you didn't ask about your case, because your case is under investigation and nobody here can comment until we get the
No,
facts.
I'm talking about
But
in
however,
general, yeah.
I've already spoken to the Director General, and we're looking at what we can or cannot do, what our general policy is. The board probably won't have anything back till the council meeting in April or even May.
Okay, so until then, I have to depend on strangers to help me get
Madame
me.
Manica va entrer en communication avec vous pour vous donner les détails de ce qu'elle aura pu obtenir d'ici là pour être très précise en répondant à vos questions.
Okay, great, and so my second question is,
Third.
no, that was my follow-up. Yeah, it's good to be
Deux, ça,
precise.
mais
Follow-up is considered second.
Okay, well, thanks for allowing me the space.
merci.
My second question, I'm gonna speak in English, it's easier for me. But my second question is, in relation to what you mentioned to an earlier person asking a question, you mentioned that the metro was built a long time ago, and you mentioned that things take a long time, and I'm wondering why you required myself and tens of thousands of other people to be so patient. We're patient, we're waiting on holds, we're waiting for rides, we're waiting for help, we're waiting for someone to hold the door, we're asking and smiling, we are cooperating, and we're looking pretty for the likelihood of benevolence. We're patient, always patient, waiting rooms, awaiting news, tests and inspections, we have to let them in order to be qualified for your services. And so my question is, how many marches, how many days before we feel the walls reveal that no one is coming to help anymore? No one is holding the door, no one is helping you on the bus, and how many doors are going to be slammed in our face before we stop combing our hair trying to look graceful and look at the glare of the sun and head towards it? Because in my opinion, the institutions are losing their patience, and the patients are flooding the streets, and our rides are not coming, and the phone lines are dead, and we're taking the lead because we're tired of being led. And that's what I have to say.
That's a question or a comment?
Votre commentaire est clair, on le prend en considération. Vous savez qu'on est très sensible par ailleurs aux besoins, aux demandes des gens à mobilité réduite. Madame Turcotte, qui est membre du conseil d'administration.
I'd love to hear her opinion.
Ouais, ben, je vous dis simplement, d'abord, elle pourra répondre si elle en a envie, là, mais elle nous sensibilise très régulièrement à ces situations-là. Dans tous les conseils d'administration, elle nous ramène tout souvent.
But again, it comes back to my question
En
of
posant la
patience.
question, est-ce qu'on a fait l'effort de penser à la mobilité, à l'accessibilité universelle dans ces décisions-là? Donc, elle nous ramène souvent à l'ordre, mais déjà dans l'ensemble, je dois vous dire que cette question-là est prise très au sérieux par la STM. Il y a un plan stratégique qui nous mène vers l'accessibilité universelle. C'est un dossier qui est très vivant et auquel on s'attaque régulièrement. Puis ça va peut-être pas au rythme que vous voudriez, mais on va de l'avant quand même. On continue de planifier la mise en accessibilité des stations. Et éventuellement, on atteindra un niveau crucial pour que ça devienne intéressant pour vous de pouvoir prendre les résultats.
Oh, I won't be able to use it by the time you're fully accessible, but yeah, none of you will.
Marie?
Moi, je suis pas très bonne en anglais, là, mais
Ah,
je
je
vais
comprends
essayer
le
de faire
français.
peut-être la traque, vous me direz. Mais en fait, l'accessibilité universelle, oui, on reproduit que ça va passer vite, puis il faut aller plus vite. Puis ça, là-dessus, on ne s'estime pas. C'est dans les moyens, des fois, que là, les moyens qu'on a mis sur la table, c'est ça qui fait que ça nous ralentit. Mais par rapport à toute la question des mentalités, puis de comment on est perçu, d'être considéré comme des individus à part entière, c'est que aussi, quand on parle d'accessibilité, on parle souvent des ascenseurs, puis des installations physiques, mais tout l'aspect aussi de la formation du personnel. Tout le personnel qui sont en lien direct avec la clientèle, qu'on pense aux chauffeurs, aux changeurs dans les loges, aux agents de sûreté contrôle. Et là, même cet hiver, les agents au service à la clientèle ont reçu une formation sur comment bien accueillir les clients ayant des limitations fonctionnelles.
C'était en collaboration avec qui?
C'était en fait le contenu pour tous les groupes d'employés que je viens de vous dire. Le milieu associatif, la table de concertation sur le transport des personnes mobilisées des groupes d'Europe et du crédit coordonné par le Victor, a collaboré au contenu, au développement de contenu. Ça fait que c'est ça. Et ça fait que ça, c'est une chose. Mais en même temps, il y a tout aussi l'attitude. Nous, STM peut faire un bout avec son personnel. Puis il y a aussi toutes les campagnes de sensibilisation que la STM fait sur... puis il y a tout aussi le changement des attitudes de la clientèle en général.
Parce que vous êtes dans une bonne position de vraiment éduquer les gens. C'est une bonne position pour vous d'être en solidarité avec
si on peut juste
vos
penser,
passagers.
moi j'ai commencé à prendre l'autobus accessible en 97. Puis, tu sais, les choses évoluent quand même. Évoluent peut-être lentement. Mais en 97, quand je rentrais, j'attendais, comment ça se fait, elle rentre dans l'autobus.
Ah non, mais ça arrive chaque jour.
Je vais laisser Marie répondre, ensuite on passera à l'autre
Mais
personne.
ce commentaire-là, on l'entend moins aujourd'hui. Avant, c'était quasiment...
Peut-être on est juste fatigué. Hein?
Mais
Un changement de mentalité,
on
c'est clair.
l'entend moins. Même ce que je vois aujourd'hui, c'est quand on rentre avec notre fauteuil roulant, il n'est pas rare qu'un usager, un client qui est à bord de l'autobus, se lève, puis il va dire aux autres qui sont à la place réservée de personnes en fauteuil roulant de faire signe de se lever. Ce qu'on ne voyait pas au début. Mais le changement des mentalités, c'est quelque chose qui s'appelle lentement.
Mhm.
Merci.
Je crois en
Merci
vous.
Marie, merci Madame Lowe.
Merci à vous. Donc,
Artists Against Apartheid, Wednesday, March 11th, as part of Israeli Apartheid Week, with performances by Amir Amiri, Tamara Filievich, Sam Shalaby and Stefan Christoph, and featuring a projection of Roads Through Palestine by Brett Story. That's Wednesday, March 11th, at La Paz, 1214 de la Montagne. Doors open at 8 p.m. Suggested donation of $8. More information at tadama.ca. Artists Against Apartheid, a CKUT co-presentation.
Hi, this is Matt. You listen to Kenny language on this album. Not out. Peace.
Okay, Patrick? We just listened to.
And welcome back. It's 5:55 and you're listening to the Avalanche here on CKUT 90.3 FM and we've got a few minutes here.
Yeah, we got last few minutes. Hey, Patrick, I want to ask you, you were listening to the board meeting at the STM. I just want to know what's your opinion about what you heard and like that. So, explain it from a person with a mobility issue. So.
Now, when I heard they were totally dodging the question, and I would just have two recommendations on how the SDM adapted transportation can be so much better. One, they need more buses. I mean, it's totally ridiculous that we have to wait. We have to give them up to a half-hour grace period
Yeah,
for
that's
them to
it.
show up. For example, they tell me to be ready at 2:30, but they often show up at 3 o'clock. Like, they don't understand that we have appointments too, and then we can't be late for class, because if we're late, we get in trouble too. And the other thing, yes.
Yeah. So like that's true. It's like make more accessibility to transport at that day. Maybe no more. Get rid of this schedule thing, because it's
Yeah,
stupid.
I
It should
mean-
run like the regular bus.
Yeah, come on, we have to call up to a week in advance
Yeah.
to go somewhere. Like Amy
So-
said, I'm a very spontaneous person. I want to be able to get up one morning and say, today I'm going to the mall. No, I have to plan it a week in advance. So
And that's to schedule a regular like a scheduled appointment, like a doctor, let's say a doctor's appointment
no,
or.
that's the schedule. Anything, Kevin.
Oh wow, that's awful. Anyways.
You realize what?
Wow.
There is a thing.
Is it
You
over?
realize.
And that does it for this edition of the Avalanche special presentation of Off the Hour. My name is Kevin, and Steph has been your engineer. Thank yous also due to all those who make educational and inspirational radio here at CKUT possible. For more information on anything you've heard tonight, or if you'd like to participate or support news produced by and for the Montreal community, please contact the Avalanche at ckut.ca or CKUT's Community News Department at 514-448-4041 extension 6788 or news at ckut.ca. Stay tuned. Hersey's on deck and coming up next for the rest of the crew. This is Kevin saying we'll see you in 7. Kev out.